Okay. Greetings. Welcome to another episode of What in the World. These are little things that I discover along life's daily road. I learn it from the news, and then I like to interpret it and filter it through Bible prophecy. And when we do these What in the Worlds, I want you to think of, what in the world is the devil up to? And so when I find these things, I start to share them with you. We've done a few of these. They're posted on our Facebook page and on our church website. We'll have a way to connect with that at the end of this. But here we are doing another episode. I am Vic Koshir. I pastor Grace Baptist Church in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. We are located approximately 24 miles due east of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. By now, unless you are disconnected and don't watch any news, or maybe you're a Rip Van Winkle, been sleeping under a rock someplace, undoubtedly you have heard about the World Economic Forum. It's headed by a fella named Klaus Schwab, and his protege there is Bill Gates. Those two people pretty much run this, and they are trying to condition the world to accept a one-world government. There was a video floating around, different things from the Economic Forum, and they had goals that they want to achieve by 2030. And the little 30-second clip started off with, by 2030 you will own nothing and you will be happy. The second frame was, by 2030 the United States will no longer be a superpower. The world will be run by a coalition of nations. And so they went and had a number of goals that they wanted to accomplish. And it's not a conspiracy theory. It is a real thing. I mean, they just put it out there. They're not trying to hide it from anybody. Klaus Schwab has a book called The Great Reset. And we know why we're excited and somewhat concerned at the same time. There's always a plethora of emotions. We hate to see this thing because it always has a bad ending, but yet the Bible reminds us in passages such as Revelation 13:7 about this one world ruler. The Bible refers to that as the Antichrist, authority over every tribe, tongue, and nation. And, so that's coming. Every year, approximately 3,000 people, the world's biggest billionaires, convene in Davos, Switzerland to discuss what they can implement to bring this about. And so you've probably heard phrases like the New World Order and the Great Reset. Well, listen, in order for that to happen, you have to have chaos. If there is no chaos, you have to create chaos. And in order to create the chaos, you have to create a crisis. It comes from a technique called the Hegelian dialectic. Now, that's a fancy word, and it's a complicated system, but basically, here's how it boils down. If you want to overthrow a country, the short version of it is you create a crisis, and after the crisis is launched, you wait for the response. And the response is something like this: oh no, we're all going to die, somebody do something. And then the person that wants the power and the authoritarianism, he rolls out his solution for that. Follow me, and it's the hopes that you'll buy in to this authoritarianism. So for this to work, they have to create chaos. Chaos creates a need for sanity. Now let me ask you something. Over the past 2 years, have you ever expressed to somebody precious to you that you value their relationship, have you ever had thoughts like, what in the world's going on? I think I'm losing my mind. Nothing makes sense anymore. How many of you had that thought like that? Yeah, we've all thought that. That is by design. That is intentional. That lets them know that whatever they launched is working. And so the chaos creates a need for sanity. The chaos creates a need for safety. And look at the crime situation, the border situation. Does anybody feel safe anymore? How many of you want to go to New York City for a vacation? Be the last place. You're probably safer in Moscow than you are in that place. And it creates not only a need for sanity and safety, but also security. And without these, people will overthrow their current system, and they will be willing to follow anybody who can provide them with sanity, safety, and security. So their goal, these New World Order, the Great Reset, Davos, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, the goal here is to overthrow the system and break down the current system and hope that all the clamor will bring about authoritarianism, which allegedly will bring back sanity, safety, and security. Now, you say, well, why would they do that? That's impossible. Nobody thinks like that. Well, here's the problem. If you listen to the news, you keep hearing words like sustainable and sustainability. How many of you have heard those terms? You hear it almost every day. And what these rich people, elites, they believe that the serfs and the minions, you and me, they believe that the earth is overpopulated and we are devouring and consuming all the earth's all the earth's natural resources. So they are coming up with a way, well, how do we control that? And then that launches in to different conspiracy theories, but that's the goal. And so you just can't impose authoritarian on people. You have to create a crisis so they will clamor for it. I believe one of the ways that they are going to do this is through demand destruction. Now, I dare say, how many of our people here in the church building have ever heard of demand destruction? 2, 3. It's not real popular. You hear about everything else. Nobody's talking about demand destruction. You say, well, what is it? Well, demand destruction is when you destroy the demand for something. For instance, if I'll use this as an illustration. When I was a teenager in the late 60s and through the 70s, our country experienced 2 oil embargoes. And gasoline, when I got my license in 1973, gasoline was 33 cents a gallon. You could fill your tank up for $5. Once in a while, there would be a gas war, and people would, you'd see gas stations across from one another, and maybe it would go down to 26.9. I don't think I've ever seen it cheaper than that, but for years, all through the 60s and early 70s, that's what gas was. 29.9, 33 cents a gallon, and we didn't think anything about it. I mean, because of that, we drove big cars. It's the American way. If big is good, then bigger is better. And so we had these big gunboats of a car. My friend had a big Oldsmobile. When he would go camping, he would put a mattress in the trunk. That was his tent. So he'd back that car right down to the bank of the river, and when he got tired, he'd flip open the trunk, and there would be a mattress. We had these big Cadillacs, these huge Chryslers, big fish fins on them. They looked like battle tanks. You could open up the hood of that car and put in there a smart car right in the hood. You could put one of that little Fiat thing. You could just put it right in the hood. I mean, they were just huge. And, we thought nothing of it. And they got like 6 miles to a gallon, 7, 8 miles to a gallon, once in a while 10 miles to a gallon on the trip. And then there was the oil embargo. Got a lot of our oil from the Middle East, and it was cheap, like right around $3 a barrel. And we're not going to give it to you anymore. And they ground the country to a halt. inflation, and that's when gasoline started to escalate in price. We waited in lines to get gas. Here in Pennsylvania, we have state inspection numbers, and you had at that time an odd number and an even number. Odd numbers got their car inspected on certain months, and if you had a 10, anything you could divide by 2 was an even. And if you had an even sticker, you got your gas on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. If you had an odd number, you got it on one of the other days. And there was always a line. And gasoline, started escalating to over $1 a gallon, and people were flipping out. The economy tanked. We had 14% inflation. If you bought a house, you were signing a note for 21% interest on a new home. CD, certificates of deposits. Don't get anything. May as well put your money under a mattress today, right? Back then, we were getting 18%. People are going to retire and be a millionaire. So it put the economy in bonkers. So what that did was people could no longer afford to put gas in their big gunboats of a car. And so they wanted to get rid of them. So my friend Ronnie had this big Chrysler, I forget what it was, and he wanted to trade it in at Hillview Motors in Greensburg. Here at that time, they were selling American Eagles. They had straight 6-cylinder engines in them. If you got one with a stick, I forget what you could get. I think you can get 20 miles to a gallon, which is be 3 times as much as what he was getting in his gunboat. They didn't want to take it in on trade. He started bargaining. Well, look, I'll let it go for this. And he kept going low. He said, you don't understand. I don't even want that car on my lot. He said, who am I going to sell it to? Nobody's buying those. All my profit will be set. And if I took all them in on trade, I'd be out of business. I can't sell them. I don't want it. And, my buddy was insulted about that. And everybody had the same mentality. And so they were all looking for fuel-efficient cars. There was one manufacturer in Japan that started making fuel-efficient vehicles in 1963, and they were getting 54 miles to a gallon. But they were small and dinky. But when they cracked the American market in the early 70s, they exported to America a model called the CVCC, and it had 53 horsepower. And basically, it was a motorcycle engine turned sideways under the hood of this car. And they were getting, right about 30, 34 miles to a gallon. And the American cars were getting 6 to 12 miles per gallon. And people started clamoring for these smaller cars. And you'll know the manufacturer, it is Honda. And that event, the oil embargoes made Honda what Honda is today. Then the Americans started following suit, and they started producing smaller vehicles, or they were going to be out of business. So they came out with that Chevy Citation. And then Les Lowenza, took over Chrysler, and he came out with this Chrysler K car, and Ford came out with their Pintos. And basically what happened was the demand for big cars was gone. The American mentality, bigger is better. If we had big cars in the 50s, when we got to the 60s, well, big is good. Bigger must be better. Let's build bigger cars. Big enough that if you want to go camping, you can flip open the trunk and put a mattress in there and sleep. That big. And they used to sit 4 across in the back when we were teenagers, 3 across the front. And if somebody else wanted to go, you shoved them in the rear window deck. There was a ledge there, right? The smallest guy, it's what you did with him. Okay, now fast forward for a little bit. And now here we are today. And now in the so-called free countries of the world, there is a global war on fossil fuels. I want to show you a little video clip. It comes from a Democratic primary presidential debate at the CNN headquarters on March 15th, 2020. And in this debate, you have President Joe Biden debating with Bernie Sanders. So I'm going to step off. You just show that little video clip.
Number one, no more subsidies for fossil fuel industry. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. Ends. Number one.
Now, I realize that was a little muffled. And what he said, this is a direct quote, what President Biden said, number one, no more subsidies for fossil fuels. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. It ends. Number one. Later on, they got on the topic of fracking. And he said, no more new fracking in the United States. And the question is, well, you know, what's this all about? And they're telling us it's about climate change and global warming. And so the question is, did President Biden keep good on his word? Well, I have a document on my computer at home, day one. He shut down the pipeline and 4 other things. And from January 20th, 2021 through March 3rd, 2022, President Biden issued 83 presidential executive orders. And the way this document is laid out is, here's the date in one column, here's the executive order, here's a little bit of verbiage about it, and then they have the price before the presidential mandate, and the next day what the gasoline went up to a day after the presidential mandate. And since March, I think there's been about 4 more of those. And they're telling us that this is to reduce the carbon footprint. However, they're not giving us all the information. I just want to say, I might do a video on this, or what in the world is up with this global warming stuff. There are some scientists that took core samples out of an iceberg. And you know, icebergs, you know, some of them have been around a very long, long time. And they can tell each year because there's a little bit of thaw, refreeze, so they know what they're doing. So they drill down, they take these core samples, and I believe the article said that they went down 4,000 years, and then they had another core sample near the surface. And what they were able to do is thaw out, ice has bubbles in it. They were able to thaw out the ice and capture the sample atmosphere in that bubble. And what they learned was 4,000 years ago, the carbon rate was, I think, 3,900 and some parts per million. And then with the recent air bubble, like 10 years ago, the parts per million was, I think it was 983. So what gives? Like, what happened 4,000 years ago to make the carbon go higher? So, and they're trying to say, well, that's what's causing global warming. President Obama, he just bought a $12 million mansion on the beach at Martha's Vineyard. If you thought, that place was going to be underwater in 12 years, would you really buy a $12 million mansion on the beach? He's a smart guy, highly educated. So his actions tell me that even he doesn't believe it. And even Al Gore bought a mansion out in L.A. that was 17 feet above sea level. By his own predictions, that should have been underwater. So that tells me that these guys don't even believe it themselves. So it's all about sustainability. Next, what's coming out is this carbon footprint. You're going to get personal carbon footprint. Every human produces so much carbon, and you're going to get carbon credits. If you don't use it all, you can sell it to some rich people and make some money, and that's the way they're going to pitch it. But back to this war on fossil fuels. It's a farce. It's a man-made shortage. And I want to share with you some products made from fossil fuels. Did you know that there are over 6,000 different products that come from derivatives of oil? There is a barrel of oil is 42 gallons. Out of that 42 gallons, they're able to create 19 gallons of gasoline. The rest of it, over half of it, goes to a cracker plant. Now, we know what that is in western Pennsylvania because they just built one in Butler. How far is Butler? 70 miles north of us. And they're fixing to build another one in Washington County, southwest of Pittsburgh somewhere. And we know what those are. What we don't know is what they did with this leftover oil after they're done refining it, and you got, over half a barrel of oil. What do you do with it? Well, you send it to a cracker plant. And the cracker plant takes the remaining oil and it breaks it down into molecules. And they need certain molecules to produce certain products. So out of that remainder, like a little 1% might go for this, 0.09% might go for that. And there are over 6,000 different products that are made from oil. I want to share with you just a partial list. And if you're going to declare a war on fossil fuels, then you're going to have to learn to live without these products. And keep in mind, this is just a partial list. I'm not going to share all 6,000 with you. But all plastic is made from petroleum. All plastic. All of it. And plastic is used everywhere. It's in our houses, it's in our homes, it's in our cars, our toys, our computers, our clothing. Asphalt, road pavement, that is a petroleum product. If you eliminate oil, just what are you going to pave roads with? You're going to go back to bricks? Is that what you want to do? I mean, even to fire a brick, think of the energy it's going to cost to fire one brick, and you're going to need millions of them to pave roads. Same with concrete. But all paraffin wax comes from petroleum. Fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides come from oil. Phonographic records, photographic film, different kinds of furniture, packaging materials, anything you've seen wrapped in cellophane. You go get them blueberries and strawberries, and you got that clear plastic container, and you can see, oh, they look so good, I'll buy that. And then, you look at, maybe you buy chicken or beef, and you got the styrofoam tray, the clear cellophane that wraps oil products. That's all a derivative of oil. All cellophane, all plastic wraps, all styrofoam, all those peanut shells is a derivative of oil. Surfboards, paints, artificial fibers used in clothing. You look at the tag when you take it off, and you'll see, 30% rayon, 30% this, you got like synthetic fibers in there. Carpets on your floor, different solvents, bearing grease, ink, floor wax, ballpoint pens, football cleats, upholstery, virtually all upholstery. The foam underneath it, the padding between the foam and the springs and the outside cover, virtually all of it comes from a derivative of oil. The sweaters that you wear, the boats, bicycle tires, sport car bodies. Women, do you like your nail polish? It's a derivative of a petroleum product. We got fishing lures, car tires, perfumes. Do you love your perfumes? We love perfumes. It's a derivative of oil. Your dishwashers, a derivative. Couldn't make it without an oil byproduct. Toolboxes, shoe polish, motorcycle helmets, caulking, petroleum jelly. Transparent tape, that Scotch tape, that clear tape when you wrap your package to ship at UPS or the United States Postal Service, all that clear tape is a derivative of oil. Certain faucets in our homes, antiseptics, clotheslines, curtains, food preservatives, basketball, soap. How many of you here like soap? Derivative of a petroleum product. Vitamin capsules, antihistamines, purses, shoes. How many of you here like, some of you women like shoes so much, you got 50 of them in your closet, 50 different pair for whatever mood you're in or however you dress. We love our shoes, derivative of oil. Cortisone, you getting itchy? Oil derivative. Deodorant, how many of you like BO neutralizers? Can't live without it. Oil derivative. Footballs, putty, dyes, pantyhose. How many of you like pantyhose? Oil derivative. Refrigerants, that is the gas that goes in your refrigerator and in your air conditioning systems. How many of you like to be cool, calm, and collect in the summertime? Can't do it without oil. Got to have oil to do that. Life jackets, rubbing alcohol, skis, TV, television, your smart screens, your smart TVs, cell phones. How many of you feel like you can't live without your smart TV or your cell phone? Be honest. You can't make it without an oil derivative. Shag rugs, electrician's tape, tool racks, car battery cases. Can't have a car battery without oil derivatives. Epoxy, mops, insect repellent, oil filters, umbrellas, yarn, hair dyes. How long's Lady Clairol going to be in business without a petroleum derivative? Do you think that'll make some people go insane if they can't get Cover the Gray and then take pictures, selfies on their cell phone to send it to all their friends and put it on Facebook? There are going to be some people going nuts over that. Roofing, toilet seats, fishing rods, lipstick, denture adhesive, linoleum, ice cube trays, synthetic rubber, rubber cement, plastic wood, fishing boots, dice, nylon ropes, candles, trash bags, house paint, water pipes, hand lotion, roller skates, surfboard, shampoo. How many of you like shampoo? And after you use it, you want to put your hands in that hand cream to soften them back up because you bleached all the oils out of it. You got paint rollers, shower curtains, guitar strings, luggage, aspirin. Anybody here have an Excedrin headache this morning? When you took that Excedrin aspirin, it was an oil. Some of it can't be made without an oil derivative. Safety glasses, antifreeze, eyeglasses, petroleum product, soft contact lenses, petroleum product, clothes, anything that has man-made. You see man-made fibers in your shoes, in your coats, in your jackets, in your blouses, in your slacks. All oil derivatives. Toothbrushes, hair brushes, scrub brushes, ice chests, combs, paint brushes, various detergents like laundry detergents, oil derivative. Balloons, sunglasses, tents, heart valves. When you need a heart valve, you're going to give you one from a pig or you're going to get a man-made one. People say they ain't putting no pig parts in me. I'll take the artificial one. It's an oil derivative. Artificial limbs, bandages, dentures. Any of you have false teeth? Choppers are made from an oil derivative. Hair curlers, cold cream. Drinking cups, fan belts for automobile engines, car enamel, shaving cream. ammonia, refrigerators, golf balls, toothpaste, dishwashing liquids, toys, unbreakable dishes, dolls, car sound insulation, glue, clothesline, cameras, disposable diapers, dresses, pajamas, credit cards, plywood adhesive, milk jugs. I mean, hey, this is just a few. There's over 6,000 products that are made from oil. So if they want to do a war on fossil fuels, if your government and the elite one-worlders and the extreme left-wing greenies are allowed to continue to destroy the demand for oil, then all of those oil petroleum-based products are going to become very, very scarce and very hard to come by. What's that going to do to our society? Well, it's going to create a lot of insane people, right? People, you can't have your cell phone, you can't have your computer, because, and basically everything that has a resin board in it, and that's virtually anything that has any kind of electronics in it, that's all a derivative of a petroleum product. How are you going to feel about that? What's that going to do to your mental state? What about safety? I mean, right now, you go to a city, they're killing, teenagers are killing other teenagers to get their Nike tennis shoes. Well, what's going to happen when you can't get a cell phone or your big screen smart TV is broken? There going to be robberies over that? Are people going to get shot at over that? Are people going to take a bullet and die over that? What's that going to do to safety? What about your gardens when you can't get any insecticides, any herbicides, any fertilizers? And food becomes scarce because of the reduction. They're already doing it in Netherlands. They're trying to roll it out. We may do a What in the World video on that. But what's going to happen to your home garden? Is it going to be protected? Is it going to be safe? People going to raid it? Somebody comes over the fence to get your corn and tomatoes. You're going to put a bullet in them? Really? Is that the way we want to live? But we know how insane people can get when they had that issue down in Venezuela. The economy collapsed because of that dictatorship down there. A doctor came out and pummeled somebody for some food that they were carrying, a doctor. So, you get hungry enough, people become desperate. There goes the sanity, there goes the safety, and there goes the security. And if you think the supply chain is fractured now, just wait. Just wait. And if these extreme left-wingers have their way and eliminate oil production, well, then the result is going to be mass chaos. And when that happens, a lot of people of the world will follow anybody who will offer a solution. And just give me my sanity back, give me my safety back, give me the security. I don't care what it costs. I'm willing to sacrifice anything to bring that back. I will follow anybody who can promise me that. And, I want to, how desperate will it get? Well, look, let me just close with this verse out of Revelation chapter 6 and verse number 4 here. The rapture of the church has already happened. Believers in Jesus Christ are waiting for an event. Theologically, we call it a rapture. Every believer in Jesus Christ will be taken up to miss this tribulation period. And the way it starts off right after the rapture, the Bible talks about the 4 apocalyptic horsemen. The first one is a horse that's white, and here's what it says. And I looked, and behold, a white horse. He who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him. And he went out conquering and to conquer. Now, who is that? He who sat on this horse. That's the Antichrist. And I believe he's going to come out of that coalition of European nations, and not just I mean, that's pretty common, basic, every Bible-believing teacher has come to that conclusion as well. And the question is, why is a crown given to this guy? Follow me. I'll give you back your sanity. I'll give you back your security. Follow me, and I will provide for you. I will meet that need. I will fix the supply chain, and you will have safety, you will have security, you will have sanity. And if he can make that promise, everybody will follow him. Later on in the book of Revelation, they actually bow down and worship this guy. So that's what the Bible says about that. So it may make you nervous because we are seeing things getting set up for that day. I believe the bulk of this will occur after the rapture of the church. Now, things can get real inconvenient before that event happens. And what you need to remember, if you're losing your sanity over all of this, you need to take the Bible perspective. And the Bible perspective is this: God is still on the throne. He's still calling the shots. He is still ruling and reigning. He is letting man have his way to show man that he cannot live without God. And if you try to make yourselves God, it will fail. And that's what's going on. And he's basically waiting for people to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so you understand from a human perspective that the world appears to be falling apart. But from God's perspective, it's falling into place. You need to be ready for that. And the way you get ready for that is you trust Jesus Christ as your Savior. At the close of this video, there's going to be a link to our church website. Fish around there. You will see a little video, and it says how you can know, K-N-O-W, know that you would go to heaven. In that video, I actually show a Bible verse up on this screen that says you can know, K-N-O-W, and I explain in about 16 minutes how you can know that you'd go to heaven. I want to encourage you to grab that if you have doubts, view that if you have questions about it. And I want to thank you for listening and being part of this today. God bless you. And stay alert. You know not when the Lord may return. You just need to be ready. God bless you.